Say hey, baby.
Hey, what up, though?
Did you just have the best dive in your life?
Yes, I did.
From a dive. No Olga, no Coney Island. Real.
Real.
Let's show you Mykonos.
We're extremely devastated as a family. We're just devastated.
A heartbroken family member can't believe she just lost her niece to gun violence. And even more devastating, the person who pulled the trigger was the niece's brother.
Today, we're going to be in Sterling Heights. It's the core suburb of Detroit, Michigan, and is 16 miles from downtown Detroit. It is the second largest suburb in the Metro Detroit area and the fourth largest city in Michigan. Sadly, a Sterling Heights business owner was accused of unaliving his sister in what is being described as a wild shootout between the siblings following a heated argument over paperwork on the morning of May 26, 2023. According to police and family members, the incident took place about 9 a.m. in the parking lot of the Royal Palace on 19 Mile Road, just east of Mound Road. Police responded to a 911 call reporting a shooting. When officers arrived, they found a 54-year-old woman on the ground suffering from several gunshot wounds. She was transported to a local hospital where she was pronounced deceased sadly. When more information was obtained, it was determined that this shooting occurred between a brother and sister over a business dispute. Sterling Heights police would say in a news release, during the dispute, both people pulled out weapons on each other and began shooting allegedly. The female was the only one injured and was later identified as Rita Evans. Rita and her brother, whose name was Zachary Holst III, were co-owners of a family-run business called Kath Chemicals, a soap manufacturing company. Rita was said to be a kind, sweet person, and she loved to travel with her husband and family, exploring new places around the world.
From what we understand, that this is a dispute over business between a brother and a sister, and ultimately in the mix of the dispute, they both pulled out firearms and multiple shots were fired, and the female was struck.
The incident unfolded at 9 a.m. in the parking lot of the siblings' business called Kath Chemicals in Sterling Heights.
They make hand soap and different types of chemicals.
Family members have identified the victim as 54-year-old Rita Evans, who was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her brother is Zachary Holston III, who was not injured. He called police and said he was involved in a shooting. Friday afternoon, police told Fox 2 that Holston is being held until a prosecutor can see the case and appropriate charges can be filed.
I have to point the finger at my nephew who did the shooting. You know, he is I won't say he's an excellent marksman, but he's very good with a gun. So if he wanted to stop his sister or wound his sister, he could have done that. He didn't have to kill his sister.
The scene's so chaotic out here, the victim's purse is now considered evidence. But as this investigation continues, the key question is, will the brother be charged or will this be considered self-defense?
Whether it was self-defense or whether it wasn't, these things are going to be figured out.
Police say they are looking at surveillance video and other evidence to send to the prosecutor's office. This gas station clerk who works near the shooting scene is upset that shots were fired outside.
We could have been outside, something could have happened, something could happen to our customers. It's crazy that something like this happened around us.
Now Rita is being remembered for how she lived.
She was a wonderful, giving, loving woman.
This family hopes other families will learn from their tragedy.
People have to learn how to talk regardless of what it is. It can be talked out. It should not be a shootout.
In Sterling Heights, Ingrid Kelly, Fox 2 News.
On the day of the shooting, it will be later determined that Zachary pulled his weapon first after he was in his car and his sister walked over to the car along with her daughter and husband. It was said that he moved Rita's daughter out of the way and pulled the trigger, and at that time, Rita was trying to reach for hers, but it was too late. he had already hit her. Zachary was not only the CEO of Kath Chemicals, but also the owner and head instructor for H2O martial arts and photo business with his wife. He also held a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So how could someone with so much to lose just risk it all? And not only that, but take his own sister's life, allegedly. Zachary would stay on the scene until officers arrived that day, and he was cooperative with detectives. According to Michigan corporate records, Zachary Taylor III is listed as the resident agent at Regional Palace. The company was formed in December 2008, the records would show. Rita lived in Macomb Township and is the mother of 2 adult children. She also worked at Regional Palace, which relatives said is a chemical company that makes hand soap and other items. Ruby Crawford, the aunt to the 2 siblings, said that Holston frequently trained at the gun range. She suspected that Zachary was the aggressor in the shootout. I point my finger at my nephew, she said. He could have just wounded her. He didn't have to kill her. This is beyond belief, she would go on to say, describing Rita as amazing, wonderful, loving woman, a philanthropist, and a mother. And the aunt would add that she didn't know that the siblings had a poor relationship. To her knowledge, she thought they were good. But she did add that people have to learn how to communicate with each other rather than resorting to gun violence.
First, we begin with a murder investigation happening right now in Sterling Heights. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Duffy.
And I'm Glenda Lewis. It began with a gunfight involving a brother and sister in the parking lot of the family business. The shots ringing out just after 9 this morning.
7 Action News reporter Simon Shakehead is on the scene off of 19 Mile Road with how it all unfolded.
Police are describing a chaotic scene in the parking lot of this business with bullets flying, brother and sister opening fire on one another, and soon after, the sister pronounced dead. On a quiet Friday morning outside a family business, it was this sight that stopped Fadi Tatar cold in his tracks.
I went outside and I unfortunately saw the lady on the ground.
Police say a gunfight between brother and sister happened here in the parking lot of this business. They were both armed with handguns, firing numerous rounds.
I've never seen something like that. I mean, we're in a pretty good area, I feel like.
The reason for a dispute still unknown. This all began at about 9 a.m. near 19 Endbound Road. The 54-year-old woman struck by gunfire was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her brother, who called 911, was not wounded. Police say he remained on the scene at the family's soap company and turned over his gun. They later found a second gun belonging to his sister.
We have to figure out who's telling the truth, who began this dispute, who pulled out a weapon first, who shot first.
As we speak, detectives examining evidence and looking closely at this pickup truck. The brother who opened fire is still with police and cooperating.
He's being interviewed by detectives.
I heard that she did pass away, and that's a rest in peace to her and condolences to her family. Yeah.
For Fadi, the magnitude of this tragedy, only feet away from the gas station where he works, is still sinking in. And this burning question remains.
Why did it happen? Why? I mean, especially that they're brother and sister, I feel like you're a family.
Police tell us they'll be spending more time interviewing witnesses throughout the day and also looking for possible video evidence. From Sterling Heights, Simon Shakehead, 7 Action News.
The police said the investigation is continuing, and as of May 30th, Zachary was arraigned for allegedly unaliving Rita, and he is facing a life sentence for second-degree unaliving and felony firearms. The judge asked if he understood what he was facing. He stated he did, and alongside his 2 lawyers with him, he pled not guilty, and that was entered. His bond was set in the amount of $500,000 cash surety only, and the judge said he thought the chances of conviction was very high for him. Just mind-blowing. Sadly, I'm not surprised because these situations are becoming way too common, and gun violence is taking family from family, friends from friends, spouses from spouses, and more. Rita's own husband and daughter had to see a brother-in-law and an uncle do what he did.
It's not the type of gathering a local businessman thought he would ever have to attend.
Zachary Taylor Holston III.
But on Tuesday, Zachary Holston is now called a defendant who could face severe punishment if found guilty.
This is a life maximum felony.
Holston was arraigned on second-degree murder and felony firearm charges for allegedly killing his half-sister, Rita Evans, who he ran the family business with called Kath Chemicals, a soap-making company.
Mr. Holston, do you understand those charges and the penalties?
Yes, I do.
Court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf.
According to police last Friday, as Holston was leaving the family business in Sterling Heights, he was approached by Evans, her husband, and her daughter. That's when a verbal dispute between Holston and Evans began over paperwork. That dispute soon turned physical as Holston tried to get into his vehicle, and Evans and her family approached his passenger door. That's when Holston drew his gun, and the victim drew hers, and gunfire was exchanged. But only Evans was hit. She died at a nearby hospital. In court, Holston's wife appeared via Zoom, as well as his two attorneys.
The defendant in this situation took steps initially to try to avoid there being any kind of confrontation.
His attorneys advocating for their client to be released on bond.
There's no risk of flight, and that the defendant is not a danger to the public or to any person.
The prosecuting attorney taking a different position, stating the incident was captured on surveillance video.
We took his claims of self-defense into consideration at the time of authorizing these charges. The defendant who turned it from verbal to something far worse. And that included pushing away a young woman who was trying to get between the decedent Rita and the defendant, drawing his firearm when Rita had no gun at all in her hands, it was in her purse, pointing the gun at Rita as she was pulling her own gun in self-defense.
After both sides made their arguments about the bond status, the judge made his decision clear.
The likelihood of conviction is high in this matter, in this court's opinion, so the court will accordingly set bond in the amount of $500,000, cash or surety only.
The bond comes with conditions that include a GPS tether with home confinement. Kath Chemicals also released a statement on Tuesday, which reads in part that they are fully cooperating with law enforcement officials as they remain dedicated to their customers and other stakeholders. Holston's next court date is June 8th. In Shelby Township, Ingrid Kelly, Fox 2 News.
I know that this family is truly divided and torn apart by this split-second decision. Rita and Zachary's lives were a positive success story of a black family winning and living life to the fullest. I truly hate that gun violence has destroyed so much in one family. My deepest thoughts are with their entire family and friends as a whole during this difficult time. And I ask that you please comment your thoughts on this situation and your prayers for the family in this difficult time as well. And don't forget to hit that like button to share to make your people aware. And as always, remember to stay woke. Things change quickly.